Welcome back. Today we'll be going through compound interest formula and we'll be working backwards. So that means that we'll be finding my present value, my interest rate, or my time period. We'll go through 3 examples, okay? But before we do that, we're just going to review what our compound interest is. Our compound interest formula is FV equals PV bracket 1 plus R, which is my interest rate, close the bracket to the power of n. Okay. At this rate, you should remember your compound interest formula. All right. One thing to note before I go through the 3 examples. Okay. Your interest rate and your number of periods needs to be in the same time period. So if your interest rate is in per month, then your number of years or your time period needs to be in months as well. Okay. This will play a role in our examples. Okay. Example number 1. Calculate how much money must be invested at 6% per annum interest, compounding quarterly to have $5,000 after 2 years. A trick, okay, which I have spoken about this before, is to write down PV, FV, R, and N, okay? This is a good strategy if you're doing an exam. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break down the question. We said, or this question says, calculate how much money must be invested. Whenever you come across the word invested, okay, so this word invested here, it basically means automatically you're trying to find PV, or automatically you should think it's your present value, just what you started, okay? So you're trying to find your PV, your present value, at 6% per annum. So I'll write down 6% per annum, so per year. Compounding quarterly, so this is important information, quarterly. Let's just put a little note. Quarterly, how many quarters are in 1 year? Okay, there are 4 quarters in 1 year. Okay, compounding quarterly to have $5,000, meaning at the end of something, you should have $5,000. So that's my FV, my future value at the end, after 2 years. So my number or my time period is 2 years. All right, like I said before, your rate and your n needs to be exactly the same time period. In this case, I want my time period to be in quarters. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it. So I'm going to divide 6 by 4 because that's how many quarters there are in 1 year. I'll leave the percent sign there. And in 1 quarter, so per quarter, you have 1.5%. Okay, per quarter. Okay, now let's change my n. Well, there are 4 quarters in 1 year, so I'm going to go 2 times 4. So in 2 years, there are 8 quarters. We're now dealing with the exact same time period for my r and my n, so now I can put it into my formula. Before I do that, I'm going to do one extra thing, which I nearly forgot to do, and I hope you guys don't do this. I'm going to convert 1.5% per quarter into a decimal. Put it into your calculator if you have a hard time converting it. So put 1.5% with the percent sign into the calculator, press equal, and you should get 0.015. Now what I'm going to do is put it into the formula. So writing down my formula so that I remember what it is. Less stuff to study for your exam. Okay, if you start writing it now. My FV, all I'm doing is just substituting the values. I don't know what my PV is, so that's what I'm trying to find. 1 plus my rate is 0.015 to the power of 8 quarters. Okay. What I'm going to do next is first, before doing any equations or finding my PV, I'm going to simplify this. 1.015. If I were to simplify it. If you have a hard time simplifying this, just put it in the calculator. So my next sign is going to be 1.015 to the power of 8. Now, mind you, this is one term. Just think about this in terms of equation is like x to the power of 3. Yeah. Or a better way would be 2 to the power of 3. Yeah. So to get rid of 1.015 to the power of 8, so that PV is by itself. So this is what I want. I should know that between PV and that bracket is a multiplication sign. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to divide it by what I don't want, which is 1.015 to the power of 8. Do it on both sides. This will cancel out. So PV will equal me 2. Let's put it in the calculator. You should get your present value you should have started is 4,438.56. Mind you, you're dealing with money, so you need to round it to 2 decimal places. So that's example number 1.